Lawn mowers. Lawn mowers. Boom, boom, lawn mowers. Oh, my hair's crazy. Look at it up there. It's wild. Still homeless, huh? Me? No, not. The trans-Midwestern closed aquifer, huh? Really pushing this, Phoebes. I don't think you quite understand the amount of water you're talking about. 40 million people worth of water, including agriculture. And it's going to be a little hard to move that from the Midwest over the fucking mountains, you know? It would be not impossible, maybe, but it would be one of the biggest undertakings in human history, for sure.
I feel like it'd be a lot easier to just move people away from things that don't have water anymore.
Yeah. It's the old Sam Kinison joke, where he's talking about, like, these infomercials and stuff with starving African children, and it's like, I just want to shake them all and tell them, go where the food is! You live in a desert! There's no food! The Midwest and the South, and it would be entirely possible if networked correctly now. I like I said, I think it's possible. I just don't think it's probable.
I mean, think of how much less fucking Louisiana would suck if a bunch of Californians moved there.
Oh, that depends on your perspective. I think that Louisiana would suck worse if you were a Louisianan that likes Louisiana, but it would suck less for everybody else. That's one of the things that, like, all these other states are always worried about. Like, it's the only state you hear that about, too. Like, we're worried about all the Californians coming here.
Making things better.
Like,
Go on, get
out of here now, California.
It's like they don't want to ever be too good. Because if, like, Texas starts getting sexy, then all the Californians are going to come.
Right. It's true.
That's probably why they haven't legalized weed yet. They don't want no Californians coming here.
They know that there's a bunch of Californians that are just waiting for that. As soon as they can get some legal weed in Texas, it's over for Texas. Yeah, you never see that shit. You never see any of the other states talking about, like, oh man, we're pissed off all these Floridians are moving up here or whatever, and you definitely never hear California bitching about it. Why? Because California has an influx from all 50 states every fucking second of every day. Like, that's kind of the whole point of California, is that it's a ridiculous, over-the-top cultural melting pot that just draws everybody. Oh, I forgot, I'm not supposed to use melting pot anymore. That's one of those words that, like, I think is maligned unfairly. Like, the term melting pot does not mean turning everything into one homogeneous thing. That's not what it meant. It meant blending, and everything kind of blends together and coexists.
Yeah, what's a better term? A piece of Velcro?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good point.
So yeah, I guess a Velcro wouldn't, like, homogenize anything, but it kind of does. It's just...
I get the intention. I just don't necessarily agree with it.
If it's the Great Velcro, I guess it must be the Great Velcro.
I guess. I guess so. Oh man, did I do it?
What'd you do?
I broke my fucking thing, but I think I can salvage it.
Just make it a baby.
Yeah, it's gonna. I was gonna make a small one anyway. I think this will work.
You got some weed on your tummy.
I do? Oh no! Get back in there, you naughty little weeds. No nug left behind, yeah. Serious.
It's hard, man, with a good grinder, though.
Yeah, it is. Having now been to California, I genuinely believe it'd be a better location for the capital than D.C. It's literally the hub of America, outclassed only by New York, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. How to make a union DFF, huh? I don't know.
I imagine it's very different in different industries and shit.
I imagine so. I have not seen the black and white cut of Fury Road. It sounds kind of cool, though. Sounds like it would be pretty cool looking. I was just having a little conversation with Amelia about my earlier days as a content creator, and I was thinking about, like, man, it would be a really cool, longer episode of the show to try and do a show on the alt-right pipeline. But I'm still so fuzzy on what exactly happened during that time. It's one of the things I've been thinking about a lot recently. I don't know why, it's just been on my brain. Just thinking about, like, the time I spent on DP, the type of audience that we cultivated there, and how that happened, like how it spun so crazily out of control, where like a panel of 4 pretty hard leftists, if you look at them in comparison to most people, ended up drawing this insane audience of right-wingers, you know? Hello, Mr. Naughty Priest. Thanks as always. It's but I see that's the thing, is like I would like to do the show. It's a really interesting topic to me, but having gone through it in the very particular way that I did, I don't have the same perspective as other people do on it. And I don't really understand how it happened. Because I think back, you know, my politics are not significantly different today than they were back then. And I was open about that. You know, all of us were. We were clearly on the left, and we were criticizing the left from the left. And during that time, that was enough. Like, and so you start to think about, like, what was my culpability in that? And I guess the best I can come up with now is just ignorance of the influence. You know, I figured, you know, every time politics come up, we're on the left. Every issue that comes up, we're on the left, except for some of the social issues and shit. It's just, I don't know. It's very disconcerting and confusing to me, I guess, because I can't really figure out how those things became conflated. How, like I said, a panel of pretty hard leftists, I mean, say what you want about us, like 90s leftists, I guess, edgy 90s leftists, pulled an audience of crazy fucking Kekistanis and shit, and did their part in whipping up that frenzy. You know, and some of the stuff that comes through my mind is stuff that I just vehemently disagree with. Like, we shouldn't have platformed X, Y, or Z person. That is just so against what I believe. I am not a deplatformer. I believe that there's nothing so dangerous that it can't be heard, and that one of the ways a populace becomes informed is being fucking exposed to contrary opinion and learning how to deal with that. And so it's just hard for me to go like, oh, we shouldn't have platformed this person, or we shouldn't have platformed so many of this type of person, or whatever. That criticism just sits so long with me. But by the flip side, look at how many young, impressionable, mostly young men got funneled into these other audiences through us. You know, they found Sargon through us. They found Milo Yiannopoulos through us. They found Ben Shapiro or some one of these other fucking idiots through us. And this is like, that didn't even cross my mind back then. Until the audience took a very noticeable swing towards that type of rhetoric and shit. And by that time, it was like, whoa, it's way too late to pump the brakes. Way too late. I started pushing back against the Kekistan shit, and I was just like, this is fucking bullshit, right-wing bullshit. Bunch of fucking Nazis, and they were just like, oh, you mean? You know what I mean? And now pretty much everybody agrees that the whole Kekistan thing was, if it didn't start that way, it was definitely appropriated by the far right. So it's not even controversial now, but back when I started bringing that up on the show, oh my God, the fucking fan base that was part of that just went ape shit, because that was part of it. Part of it was appearing to be something that you weren't. Like having all these right-wing beliefs, but hiding your power level in public.
Or like, it's just a joke.
Yeah, it's just memes.
Yeah.
I feel bad for the dude who invented Pepe. I guess me too, but I don't know, dude. That just, it's just, it's very confusing. I would feel like, because I was on the inside of that, especially like at such a critical time too, there's no denying that the podcast that I was a part of for years was a hub for that. It was a hub for this left-right kind of paradigm that came out of the mid-2000s. And, you know, so you would think that, you know, me being on the inside of that, I'd have a lot of perspective on what happened and how it happened, but I guess I don't. So the more I think about it, the more confused I get. You're not confused, just, I don't know. I feel like I hit a wall with it. Sargon has his moment in the atheist, early neo-feminist days. Well, that's part of this, though. It goes beyond DP. Were you guys conservative or liberal in the DP days? I just got done. We were leftists. I wouldn't even call us liberals. All of us were various shades and various magnitudes of leftist. So I guess the crossover happened because we criticized the social aspect of the left from the left. And that's all it took. That level of edginess and that level of kind of unwillingness to go along with whatever the loudest voices in that movement were saying, or at least unwilling to go along with it without subjecting it to the same ridicule and criticism that we subjected everything to, was enough to touch off an explosive growth in viewership on the show that was mostly just Nazis. You know, maybe a couple of hairs short of Nazis. And it's just like, what? Because even back in those days, my contempt for that type of person was palpable and open and on my lips every time they came up. And so it's just odd to me. It's odd to me that criticism of religion turned into criticism of other social hierarchies, and then that turned into right-wing shit. I don't, to me, that's a boomerang that doesn't seem like it ends up where it was thrown from. But there were just as many leftists that disagreed with third wave feminism and hardcore, you know, whatever they called it back then, SJW shit. There were people that there were tons of people on the left that disagreed with that, and I thought that we were drawing those people, but we were drawing those people and people on the right, and not in equal numbers. And it's just odd to me. I don't know. It's definitely something that I think maybe would be just a better conversation episode than trying to do some kind of history, because I don't understand it. And maybe talking to the other guys and maybe, you know, examining it a little bit would lead to some breakthroughs in my knowledge here. I'm not really blaming myself. That's the thing, is I'm not sitting here feeling guilty about it. Not necessarily. It's just I'm confused. I'm very confused by it still, to this day. I don't blame you. The anti-SJW community went from being just a group of people criticizing modern wokeness or whatever, and it became a right-wing movement. I don't, I don't blame anybody. You know, you may still have those criticisms. I was telling Amelia, like, a lot of the stuff, I wouldn't even walk back most of the shit that I said on DP. Like, the shit that we put out and criticized was ridiculous. The feminist slam poetry was ridiculous and funny to make fun of. Some of the more out there opinions and political stances that were taken by people at the forefront of that movement were just ridiculous. Some of the figureheads of the early parts of that movement were ridiculous. Just ridiculous, you know, fucking immature people. And I don't feel bad for pointing that out. But by the same token, you know, I don't feel like the very act of me putting that out, see, in my mind, the act of me being critical in that way is not saying, like, oh, also economic fucking social, or a right-wing social theory, come on over. I'm buddies with you. No, that was never the fucking output. That was never the thought process. Ever. And the fact that it turned out that way is just, it's mind-boggling to me. I really have trouble seeing the transition. I mean, I know it all kind of is, like, it goes back to the atheist days. Because that was, you know, largely an apolitical thing. There were crossovers between religion and politics. And most of the people that I watched back during those days were pretty staunch leftists whenever that came up. But somehow that the normal kind of apolitical nature of religious critique turned into right-wing shit. And then that turned into just politically right-wing shit. Well, what do you think about Atheism Plus in retrospect? I've seen some people say it was justified. I think it was an attempt to stem the tide, but I think the dam was already breaking. Like, it was a ham-fisted attempt, too, because it came off as, like, atheists were always so very resistant, and I think, like, for good reason, for having atheism mixed inherently with any other kind of thought. Because one of the main critiques you would get taking part in the great debate, if you talked to religious people, was, oh, isn't atheism just a religion of its own kind? And the really great way to come back to that was like, no. Religion has no churches, it has no dogma, it has no holy books. And the more of those things started to show up, the more Richard Dawkins books started to be made, and the more atheist organizations that started to crop up, and the more extra shit that started to get piled on top of atheism. It didn't feel right, you know? It didn't feel right to anybody in the movement except for this very small group of people that maybe they saw the writing on the wall. As flawed as their attempt to marry social justice with atheism was in the early days, You know, maybe they saw the writing on the wall in the way that other people didn't.
They just wanted to try to cut out the cancer, but they didn't know how to.
Right, and the truth of the matter was, I think it was already starting in earnest, and there was no way to do it. There was no way to do it. It's just odd to me. I don't know. It's the ghetto bird.
It's like a lot of the, feminists you criticize, they were grifters. They were just trying to be the most. They were performers. They were trying to be the most extreme to get the most attention.
Of course, absolutely. The idea that the intentions were all good on one side or the other side of this is just nonsense. At best, you can make an argument that anti-theism is dogmatic, but even then, at least the dogma of anti-theism is rooted in pragmatic reality and not it's in my book dough, right? I don't know how much the downturn in religiosity has to do with that movement. I'm sure it helped, but I think that movement might have been an outcropping of more and more people questioning religion and searching for it, being able to find it on the internet and find other people that thought that same way. And so it played its role that way, I think, but I don't think it was like a catalyst. I think it was just a community that sprung up around it. Hi, Paul. Hi, Charlie. Wait right there. I shall return.
Getting you a drink.
Yep.
Oh, be honest, guys. Did any of you start going down the alt-right pipeline when you were young? In those days, the 2014s and shit. I know I did. Talking about that MRA shit.
Look out, Lee.
I asked them, to be honest, and say if they ever went down the pipeline in those days.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure some of them did. You were a Varg Vikernes fan? Yeah. Hey, you gotta hand it. Can't throw if you don't give.
I'd say that Mundane Matt was probably the one that, like, pulled me the most in that direction.
Really?
Yeah. I was a big Mundane Matt fan for a while.
Oh, God. Holy shit, how did I not know this? Mundane Matt, dude?
Yeah.
Of all people.
He did that big Zimmerman defense.
Yeah.
Kind of started dipping into that MRA stuff a little bit.
Wow. I mean, I gotta be honest with you, I think that MRAs have a point when it comes to certain things. Like, men are heavily, heavily neutered, no pun intended, when it comes to family court. Like, it is much harder for a man to get sole custody of his children than it is for a woman to get sole custody of their children. It is much less, it's much less common for a man to get alimony from a woman than it is the other way around. So there are some injustices, and I think most of them revolve around that. It's also far more likely, like, sentencing is harsher for men. Take the same crime, somebody takes out a gun and shoots somebody. A woman is going to get something like 10 years less than a man on average or some shit. That needs to be addressed. That's absolutely correct. Those are imbalances between people based on gender that need to be addressed. So, and maybe that's part of how this happens. It's like the MRAs, some of it, they make a point. You can't really argue with any of that. At least I can't, knowing what I know. And maybe that's the same way that some of this other shit happened. It's like, you know, you make fun of Big Red, that feminist that would pull fire alarms and yell in people's faces and call them a fuck face and never let them, you know what I mean? If that's the thing that you're being exposed to when it comes to feminism, it's like, you know.
And then MRAs started getting taken over by the MGTOWs. And then it started to get real misogynistic.
Right. I mean, there was already some pretty heavy notes of misogyny in the early MRA movement, and then it was just, like, expanded upon when it became MGTOW. The spotlight put on people like Big Red seems like a controlled op in retrospect. I mean, like, I can definitely sympathize with your way of thinking. I don't personally think so, but I know why you would ponder that.
So yeah, maybe that was it. It was people being drawn to MRA because of the anti-SJW shit, and then a lot of them being young men that hadn't had girlfriends yet, and kind of going down that insult.
It definitely got them in the room. It got them in the same room with one another.
Yeah.
It got, like, average dudes that were kind of not liking the way that the social justice movement was going, and you know, fucking straight out incels, and it got them in the room together so that they could find their little subgroups, and from those subgroups they were able to reach out to other people like them outside of them, and you end up with MGTOW.
I still don't know quite the line from that to like you said, the political right, like the libertarians and shit. There still doesn't seem to be a clear line from that to that.
Other than the fact that they're both inherently like movements that are critical of the left.
Yeah.
Now, they may be critical of the right too, but that doesn't seem to matter. All that seems to matter is criticism of the left.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be the operative joining part. Bye, Jersey. Thanks for the $1.99, homie.
But yeah, it's like people can go la la la, I can't hear you when you're not criticizing the left.
Right, or maybe they just never see it because all they're seeing is highlight channels.
Yeah.
Where it's like, fucking podcaster destroys the left, and then they hear this dude talk about it and they go looking for more and they find more little highlight channels where it just happens to be this person staunchly criticizing the left, and people don't even really know. You know? Maybe it doesn't even matter. Maybe the thoroughness of somebody's entire argument doesn't matter anymore. We've officially like soundbited the universe. So it's not about the overarching political position that you hold that feeds this position. It's about that micro position alone. And it exists in a vacuum, and it's passed around to everybody who already believes it so that they can have their fucking bias reinforced. And that just grows because communities spring up around it. And then lonely, disaffected, young, mostly men find these communities and, oh yeah, I'm like this too. And they get radicalized by them. And what you're saying as a fucking producer of content doesn't really matter. So long as you're being critical of something on the left at some point.
I'm sure there's Republicans that are watching Bill Maher right now. He's still doing the anti-woke shit.
Oh yeah, there's tons of them that are probably watching him even more now. Because he's moved so heavily in that direction. He's probably gained audience. Because he's moved in this like everything woke is bad kind of, or stayed on that fucking topic.
Oh yeah, right-wing people will always capitalize on populist left movements.
Oh yeah, no, I mean they're way better at doing that sort of political jockeying than the left has ever been. They realize that momentum is momentum is momentum, and that especially now that they can just soundbite every little thing, that's all that matters. Your average person is never going to sit down and watch an episode of Drunken Peasants. I bet a bunch of people saw fucking clips of me and TJ and other people saying shit, and that was maybe the only thing they ever heard from us. So that's the only thing we ever said that mattered. The context doesn't matter anymore. The underlying position that feeds that position that's so important doesn't matter anymore. It's just the soundbite. That's all people have time for anyway, right? Bye, kid. Whatever happened to the position of people minding their own business? Oh, that's over. Them days is over. It'll take a couple of generations before we get back to the mind your own business mentality, if we ever do. I think the internet has pretty much killed that. Now it's impossible for people to not put their business on Front Street. If you want to have any kind of a presence in the modern fucking socialization structure, you gotta fucking put your life on Front Street. If you don't, well. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever get a mind your own fucking business generation again. Yeah, I mean, this is the most polarized that the country has probably ever been. Probably even more so than during the Civil War. as a lot of the people that fought in the Civil War had no political stake in it.
Yeah,
They were conscripted soldiers, you know what I mean? And so you can't even really look at the Civil War as an example. There were politicians that were divided, but I think now, person to person, on a philosophical and political level, is the most divided this country has ever been. It's people can't even really put the politics on the shelf. That used to be a real attribute of adults, the adults that I grew up with. I grew up around liberals and I grew up around Republicans, like, you know, every mix in between, independents and all that shit. And they would argue from time to time about politics, but they also were able to just switch that part of their brain off and engage on a human level with one another. And that just seems to be over, man, on both sides.
Yeah, it was like after Trump, it's like, I'm going to delete my aunt, I'm going to delete my grandpa, I'm going to delete my uncle, delete my cousin. Just not going to interact with half my family.
It's very odd to me, but there's no denying that that's the way of things now, so.
Well, it's because it made it so much easier. Like on Facebook, you can just go unfriend or block.
Right. You can even do it without the person knowing. It's like mute. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you ever have politics like come up at the dinner table, like at Thanksgiving or whatever?
So I had a politics argument that interrupted a dinner one time in my entire fucking life, once, and it was during the Iraq invasion in the wake of 9/11. It was me and my then girlfriend would go on to be my ex-wife, and then my sister and her boyfriend, who would go on to be her husband. And we started talking about the war, basically, and both me and my ex-wife were hard left. Nobody should be setting foot in Iraq. They didn't find any bombs. They didn't find any of this. And then from my sister and brother-in-law's, future brother-in-law's side, it was, they found rape rooms, they torture people in that regime, and blah, 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 blah. And then our response was, we fucking torture people. We're responsible for political torture. We murder, our country murders people. We're not the police of the world. It's not, yes, Saddam Hussein is a bad guy, but it is not our job to clean up every bad guy. If he's a bad guy, the Saudi fucking king is a bad guy. Why are we not going against Abdullah? You know, this, that, and the, we were just the standard fucking leftist position of like, you can't cherry pick, which a lot of leftists seem to have forgotten. Now, the anti-war left is dead, but let's just say that I am, and at that time was a staunch anti-war leftist. And my sister is a traditional evangelical conservative who believes that it was a God-given mission for us to go over and liberate the people of Iraq from oppression. And we went back and forth, and it got more and more heated, and there was yelling and screaming, and then finally my stepdad just threw his hands up, got up off the table. My mom got up and walked away from the table, and that was that, man. That shocked us out of it, you know what I mean? Because they just were sick of fucking hearing the bickering. They were trying to get the family together to have a nice meal, you know what I mean? And it just ended up being a fucking bickering match. And it was that day that I really had to make a couple of decisions. And one of them was, if I want to have any kind of relationship with my sister, I'm going to have to set aside politics. We can just not discuss politics. And I've held to that for the last 20 years or something. I'm very open and vocal about politics with pretty much everybody else in my life, but I have not had a political conversation with my sister since that day. Because if she was going to continue going on that road, it was going to fucking blow up our whole relationship. There's no way. Both of us are way too into it. Both of us are way too political, and we're too different. So, so that was it. That's the only time I've ever had a fucking family get together. Personal, I've seen family, like at family get-togethers and shit, people fucking get in arguments that because of drinking got a little more heated than they should have, and sometimes I guess politics were at the root of some of that. But
now the response seems to be, it's like, well, you should just never come again because you disagree with her.
I mean, yeah. And that was the other end of it. The other end of it was, and I ended up cooling down, and I called my sister later that night before I even talked to my mom. And I said, number one, however this works out, you and I got to go over and apologize to Mom and Steve, because I was fucking disrespectful of both of us. She's like, agreed. And I was like, number two, I just don't think we need to talk about politics or religion or any of that shit anymore. I was like, I feel the way I feel, you feel the way that you feel, and blood's thicker than water. And if we're going to be brother and sister, we can't be going at each other like that. We got to have each other's backs on a personal level. And she agreed with that too, and that was that. We went to my mom's house the next fucking day, apologized to my mom, apologized to my stepdad, and just told them basically that'll never happen again, and it hasn't.
People aren't willing to do that no more.
Yeah, that's unthinkable to some people. That argument, somebody's got to be right. And of course, I think I was right, and she probably still to this day thinks she was right. Nobody's mind got changed, but yet we still have something like a relationship. I still see my sister, I see her children. I wouldn't have that. So, it's one of those things. And I think that honestly, in this day and age, there's a real good chance that that just doesn't happen. You find yourself diametrically opposed to somebody you grew up with, or somebody you grew up in the house with, or one of your parents or something. There's a good chance that that's fucking gonna just quash your whole shit. Grandma and both your uncles blocked you on Facebook and you haven't talked to them in 2 years. What the fuck? Probably over some politics shit. Over some Trump shit, probably. It's like, man. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, you got to make that choice. And see, my sister and I, as different as our fucking positions are, we're very alike. We're both hotheads. We're both prone to getting really emotionally involved in argument. And so it's like not a good mix, you know? It's not a good dynamic, and it doesn't foster any kind of family connection or whatever. And so it's how to go.
You leave it home. But yeah, I can't think of anyone that could unite the country at this point, like candidate-wise. I can't even imagine a landslide.
No. No, it's gonna be divisive. Every one of these fucking elections is gonna be divisive from here on out. And that's just gonna be the way it is. Oh.
You bonked your head.
Oh, let me see this little skull. You give it a bonk.
You don't care. You hard-headed. You're hard-headed like his dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some pretty clouds up there. Mm-hmm. Those stratus clouds or those Sirius clouds? They're not cumulus, I know that much. I think they're Sirius clouds. Or Cirrus. Cirrus, yeah.
The shit you remember from kindergarten is fucking insane.
Right?
It's like they drilled so many things into our head in fucking kindergarten that, like, I remember that way more than the shit I learned, like, 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Cumulonimbus. Yeah. Ugh.
I mean, that's the answer to education. Just make kindergarten a lot more complicated because everyone remembers what they learned in kindergarten.
Yeah,
Just
maybe.
shove a bunch of other stuff in there.
Dude, I was watching this this little like blurb or whatever, this little mini documentary the other night on the people that live in the coldest city in the world. It's called Yakut, and it's in like Siberia or some shit. It's got like 400 people in it, and it's below 35 degrees most days, and it goes down as low as -70 or whatever. And they followed the little kid. The kid goes to school, and the kid, he's like a kindergarten age kid, probably, or maybe first grade. They're learning 3 languages. 3. They're learning Russian, native Yakut, and English simultaneously in the first grade. And I was just like, dude, we're done. We can't even get most kids thoroughly through the ABCs in kindergarten. And here in other places in the world, fucking kids are at a minimum trilingual by the 2nd grade. It's like, what?
Can't even, like, agree on preschool. Like, preschool was huge. Did all kinds of shit when I went to preschool. Did you get it?
No. No, I didn't get preschool. I don't think I did. I don't know. I'd have to ask my mom. I can't remember back then.
Yeah, we were writing and, like, doing little math stuff. Reading.
Yeah, I think I didn't have it. I don't think I had preschool. I learned Bulgarian and English in the 2nd grade. Yeah, see? That's what I'm talking about.
People's minds are just so open at that age.
Yeah.
I bet you could teach one a times table if you wanted to at that age.
Well, I mean, specifically, like, with language.
Yeah.
Because that's the age where you're supposed to be learning to speak. And so your brain is particularly tuned to pick up the nuances of language. And if you teach a kid that young to be multilingual from the start, they will be it their whole lives. And they learn it way easier than if you, as an adult, decided you wanted to learn a completely foreign language. So it's pretty crazy. I remember my sister, all of her little kids speak rudimentary sign language because it's really kind of weird to watch. Before her children start speaking, they're signing. So she will teach the kids when they're way too young to even begin to think about teaching them to speak. She teaches them rudimentary signs for, like, I'm hungry, I'm sad, I'm angry, whatever. I don't know all of them, but, like, it's just, she'll communicate with, like, not even toddlers, like little babies. It's nuts. So there's a huge capacity in the mind during those formative years to learn language, and it really should be standard. I mean, if we really wanted to prepare our children for the future, we'd be teaching them fucking English and Chinese. Like English and Mandarin. There you go.
I think I learned a tiny bit of Mandarin in, like, 2nd grade or something. Still remember how to count. but that's about it.
Oh yeah, can you get to 10?
Yes.
Do it.
Yarsansu uliochi bajiosu.
Damn. That's pretty good. Yeah, I never learned any Chinese. Is that the only thing you remember? Do you remember the days of the week?
No. I only did it for as like an after school thing for like a few months, I think.
Oh yeah, but look how much you remember. Look how much it's stuck in your head.
Yeah.
This many years later, you can still count in Chinese.
Yeah.
You know base 10,
Yeah.
so you can pretty much communicate numbers in Chinese.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I learned Spanish, rudimentary Spanish and rudimentary French. I'm fluent in neither. But if given the opportunity to listen and with a native speaker that's willing to go a little slower than native, I can puzzle out most things that are said. I'm much better at understanding it than I am speaking it. What little bits that I've retained in speaking are stuff like that, counting.
I don't even remember how to count to 10 in Latin, and I took 3 years of that.
I bet it's way more fucking like well, maybe not more complex than Mandarin.
No. And fucking Latin just fucking fell out of my brain pan when I graduated.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I never took Latin, but I learned Latin for chamber choir and stuff, and it was just had to learn some basic Latin pronunciations and definitions and shit. Forced to learn French, you know. I chose French because I thought it was cooler than what everybody else took, which was Spanish. In my area, it would have made way more logical sense for me to take like 4 years of Spanish.
Spanish was full because all the native Spanish speakers filled up the class to have an easy class.
That was one thing about our local curriculum that's changed now. I think now you only need 2 years of a foreign language to graduate high school. Back when I was in high school in my district, you had to take 4. You didn't have to take the same language, but you had to take 4 years. You had to have at least one foreign language class every year, which was kind of neat.
But like we were saying, they should be doing that in elementary school, not starting to dump it on 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like, you can teach a 16-year-old some things, but not as easily.
No.
You probably don't even remember what a tangent is.
A tangent. I know it goes with sine and cosine.
Yeah, and that's about it, right?
Sine, cosine, and tangent. I remember all about that shit. I just remember those 3 things went together.
Into a triangle. You
Yeah,
remember the triangle.
yeah, figuring out the different angle, the degrees, whatever. You know what I mean? The fucking triangle degrees.
Yeah, 16-year-olds, you're hitting a brick wall, man.
Well, see, the thing was, my mind was extraordinarily open and absorbed. Like, I was absorbing, but the things I was interested in, the things I had a natural proclivity to. I was eating fucking English for breakfast because I loved reading and I loved learning about different topics in that realm and how to write and how to read and all of that. And then I loved history, so I sucked all that up. I loved any kind of performance art, so I just absorbed all of that, and I was so open to learning, and I learned so much during those years. But like fucking math, bro, I doubt that I could solve what would probably be considered now like an 8th grade algebra problem. We didn't even take algebra in the 8th grade when I was in school, and now it's pretty standard that kids are getting like at least pre-algebra or whatever in the fucking middle school. I doubt if you put like, maybe like, you know, if you did like a plus 2 equals 4, like that's basic algebra, and I could tell you it's 2. A equals 2. Well, no, because it couldn't be, because 2 is on there. fuck?
No, it can be.
Oh, you can have a variable that's represented as a
Yeah.
variable, and then I'm the same number and
Yeah.
the same. You don't have to do a plus a equals 4.
Yeah. But if it was a times 2, then it would also be -2. I think. No, it wouldn't. Not for positive. But yeah.
But yeah, beyond that, dude, that if you got to go into any much more than that, I doubt I could do a long division problem right now. I'll be honest
I
with
think
you.
I tried doing one once, and I'm just like, what? I used to be good at math too, but it just fucking brain pan just.
Yeah. I'm not. I never was good. Yeah, no, there ain't no way.
But yeah, I mean that was the age of a lot of your audience. Going back to that pipeline thing, it was
True.
like 16, probably 14 to 17-year-olds. Honestly, you probably had.
There's probably quite a few. Yeah. We definitely skewed towards younger males in that audience.
And
So.
those are, ignorant young men that are stupid just because they're young.
Dude, I wish people could fucking hear me when I was a teenager, dude. People wouldn't even believe it. They wouldn't even fucking believe it's me. I had a typical bad AAVE accent. I talked. You can't even really say the word that they used to call me anymore because it invokes the other word. But I had a fucking thick. I'm kind of trying to be a black guy accent. Especially in like my 16 through 18, I was all into hip hop, and all my friends were into hip hop, and we wanted to be young black kids from the inner city so fucking bad, man. Oh my god. If you guys could hear me, it would be cringe-topia. Ebonics, yes, that's an anachronistic term now. They don't really use ebonics anymore, but yes, that's what it was called in my day.
But yeah, so cringy young teenage men then were being told by the TSJWs that they couldn't be young cringy teenage men.
Right. Did you say finna a lot? No. That wasn't, I mean, we used to say like that has changed. A lot of the vernacular has changed. Like finna used to be finsta or fittin'. We used to say I'm fitting to head up the road or whatever. Finsta is more like it's just parts of it. Because I was tuned into it then, now I hear it now. Like there's been a lot of stuff that's changed, like capping. I always bring this up. Like if you capped on somebody back in the day, you were like bagging on them, you were roasting them. Like, oh man, he capped on you, dude. He was talking about your mama, and he was talking about this. And now a cap is a lie, right? So if people say, "Oh, that's cap," it just means they're lying somebody's lying or they're lying. What is being on the tip? So so it's hard to explain. So you would be on, like, if you liked a band, you were on the tip. So like you would be on the TLC tip, or I'm on the fucking Jay-Z tip or whatever. It just means that like I'm in that, like I'm into that. I guess you would say now I fuck with Jay-Z or I fuck with TLC or whatever. You would say, oh, I'm on the that's like late 80s, early 90s shit though. So I wasn't even really into it then. I just heard the music from then. I didn't speak that way until my teenage years. I didn't get cringy enough to start putting on the affectation until I was a good, 15, 16. Dude, a couple of my first Paul's Ego vids were Lulgic and Sell the Sizzle. Mr. Paul discovered Astronaut Jones because of you, man. Cool. Paul gets canceled for saying on the tip. Yeah. Faux shizzle. Yeah. That was just some Snoop Dogg shit.
don't know. I feel like we should just lock 14 to 17-year-olds in a box.
Yeah, we
Don't
should
let-
really send them to an island or something. I love that. There's a line at towards the very beginning of Dead Poets Society, where the kids are all running down the stairs to get to their classes, and there's a teacher trying to go up the staircase, and they're bumping into him and stuff, and he's like, "Slow down, you horrible phalanx of pubescence." I don't know why I love that, but it's so true.
But yeah, just fucking.
Just put them on an island together and let them work out being fucking cringe. Send them to Cringe Island, you know what I mean? And don't let them watch people because they're way too impressionable. They'll be very careful what you expose them to during those critical ages because they just can't handle it. And I gotta tell you, maybe not back in my day, but nowadays, little girls need to go too. Because even I've seen level-headed little kids turn into complete monsters. I've seen it happen, man. Because they start watching fucking JoJo Siwa or some shit, and they just turn into a nightmare. Dude, I have this niece, not from my biological sister, one of my stepsisters. She's fine. She's just being a teenage girl, but it just goes to show you that the way that teenage girls express cringe isn't as cringy as the way boys do, but it's still just as annoying. They become like, I can't be fucked to be interested in anything you're saying. That's what teenage girls do. They're just, especially now that they've got a cell phone. You'll just be talking to them about some shit, and they'll just like tune you out and just be like, yeah. Just like, oh my God, fucking. Call me in 2 years.
Yeah, it's like I remember we gave her the same like gift card that we did the year before, and she was all stoked about the gift card the year before.
Well, yeah, it was for books.
Yeah.
So the year, but that's what I'm talking about. That's how she changed. She used to be this like sweet little nerdy kid that loved reading, and then the next year, because I remembered the year before, oh man, she loved that. I think it was Barnes and Noble or whatever gift card that we got her, and it was like we got her something that was from an alien planet,
like a turd.
Yeah, she was like, oh, thanks. I was like, you can get other stuff at Barnes and Noble too. You don't have to get books. I just thought you liked books. Not anymore. No.
That's like, all right, you get a Hot Topic one next year.
Yeah.
This Edge.
Yeah. I'll just give her cash next year. That's what she really wants. Just give her the cash. Here you go. $40. Get out of my face.
Dude, the Island of Cringe would be epic.
I wouldn't want to go there. I wouldn't know one way or the other. I survived my fucking teen years. I don't have to go to the Isle of Cringe anymore. But I should have gone.
Like if you had a little secret camera on the Island of Cringe.
Oh God, I don't know. Maybe. I think I would regret it as soon as I turned it on. Like as soon as I fucking looked, I'd regret it. Yeah, she'll be like, yeah, we'll give her cash next Christmas, and she'll be like, you guys ever heard of a Cash App? Cringe. What am I even? How do I even spend this? Can I even buy something online with this? Oh fuck. What am I gonna do?
She's just not gonna be happy for 3 years.
I'd have to get like some like pop star or something. Like I'd have to get like what's that, BTS or something.
Yeah.
I'd have to get BTS to show up. All right, here's your Christmas present. It's BTS. And she'd be like, oh my God. Or get her followed by BTS or something. I don't even know if she's into BTS.
Dude, I was so happy when we saw my sisters that my sister hadn't become a complete anime girl.
Yeah. No.
My mom was like starting to talk like, oh no, she likes anime and she likes this Japanese stuff. It's like she better not be an anime when we show up.
Yeah.
And she wasn't. So.
No. She didn't ask me about anime not once, so that's a good sign. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they were pleasantly not cringe.
Dude, I can't even like I literally want to cringe out of my I'm so fucking thankful with everything
Yeah.
inside of me that I was born after the age of everybody films everything and puts it
Yeah.
on the internet. Oh my god. If there were fucking videos of me floating around out there talking to my friends the way I used to talk to them, because I used to greet them like we were straight up thugs from Compton. What's up, N-word? Oh, not my N-word, just chilling over here, you know what I mean? About to smoke up. Oh, hell yeah, man, roll through. Yeah. You know it, my N-word? It's like, oh, shit. No. Thank goodness. Thank goodness that's not out there. Oof. Dude, there's this song on this Redman album called Doc's the Name, called Let the Monkey Out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were in my friend's Honda Del Sol. This little Honda Del Sol that had two 12s in its trunk crammed in there. So it bumped. It had bump, as we would say back in the day. And we were stopped at a stoplight, bumping that song so loud that people in neighboring businesses were listening to it. And we were singing along with it, and it's inward this, and it's about letting the monkey out, and this, that, and he does like a monkey sound, and the whole thing, and we're just like lost in the, dude, we're flowing. And I shit you not, I looked over to the left, and there's a Jeep with two black dudes in it, just like, I was like, so I just like nudged Waylon. I was like, Waylon, Ixnay on the Bexnay, man. But that used to be the thing we would do. This is something that I don't even know if kids did. You like? Let me ask you guys this: did you guys ever cruise? It was cruising. You probably was that a thing that kids did? Cruising.
I did not have a car, and I was not close enough to anyone with a car.
See, that's the thing. Is like everybody had a car. Cruising, I don't know if people, yeah, it seems like something that probably died maybe a generation after me. But that used to be a thing that we would do like every fucking weekend. And then part of that was having like a real loud booming stereo. And so it didn't even really matter if your car was good. You had to get that fucking like, because it was more about the, like, I guess car culture has changed. It started as like a let me show off my badass hot rod type of thing. And I guess people still did that too. People would like flex their badass cars. But my generation, it was about listen how loud my fucking stereo is. Listen how clean the bass coming out of my car is. You know what I mean? No rattle. That's professional fucking lined trunk install right there, baby. That's a boxed Lanzar. That's two 12s. Boom! Dude, it sounds like a fucking bomb going off out of my trunk. That's what you wanted. And so that's the dude, maybe not every weekend, but that was just something we do. We go to Fresno, California, to Blackstone Avenue, man. We cruise up and down that motherfucker looking for girls. Or just looking to get in a fight or whatever. Just looking for somebody to argue with. And then what would usually happen is we'd cruise up and down the street, probably like, we'd do like 3 miles this way and then flip around, go all the way back. And then eventually we would see cops pulling people over. Cops would be there to break up the cruise, and then we would just drive on, head on. That was our, when we saw the whoop, whoop, whoop lights, that was our time to get the fuck out.
Did it ever get any of you a girl?
Never once. Never once. It really wasn't even about that on either side, though. Nobody was looking to like hop out of their girlfriend's car and into some dude's car and get fucked. Like, it was just about exposing yourself to the opposite sex and like flirting openly or whatever. It was a place where people went, and if they were there, you knew that they were like into the flirt.
Yeah.
And so it was a safe place to flirt with people that you normally probably would never fucking
Yeah.
talk to.
You gotta remember, I was a lame kid that didn't party or nothing.
You weren't lame. You were just from another fucking generation that prioritized different shit. I'm telling you, you're not lame. Most kids, like when it comes to how I partied, most people that are fucking your age don't even know, have no reference. It was a different culture back then, dude. And I'm not saying people don't. Like, there's still, like, partying is still part of the culture and shit, but it just wasn't, it was constant. It was less hardcore in that there were probably way less fucking drugs around. Like, parties now are big fucking coke benders and shit, but they were every fucking weekend, all weekend. What you wanted to do was be party hopping all weekend. And there was a whole culture around that is so different now. It's like you're less incentivized. A whole bunch of teenagers are less incentivized because like there's so much watchdogging going on that wasn't going on when I was a kid. Like parents were way more lenient. Once you had a car, you were basically like, go do what you're gonna do. And that's not the case now. People are fucking watching their kids on an app. Like, I know where you're at.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I mean, there was like very little of that type of fucking hard drug in my teen years. The hardest drug that I ran across regularly was weed. You know what I mean? That's it. Every once in a while there would be some cocaine or some shit, but I didn't do that until I was in my fucking, I didn't try it until I was in my 20s. And not my drug. Not my drug at all. It was very low key, very centered around drinking beer and smoking pot.
And that was still a thing. Like people partying to do that. I just was never invited to any of it.
I was never invited to most parties. I just show up. I knew somebody who was going to a party,
Yeah.
and so I would yeah. And if there wasn't a party going on, then like when me and Morgan and Roddy would get together and do Apple Nasty shit, that's not a party. That's three nerds sitting around fucking somebody's dad's living room getting high. You know, for me, like when I'm talking about a party, I'm talking about like 40 or more people banging out a house. Like it wasn't like if it was like 5 or 10 people, that was a lame-o party, man. You pull up on a party that's got 10 fucking dorks at it, you find a reason to leave real quick. Because that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for that chaotic fucking environment where you can just kind of melt into the party atmosphere. It did feel good. As a person that has always been very protective of my privacy, I always felt very private when I wanted to at a party. It's very weird. Yeah, nothing wrong with a kickback, but that was always like the prelude to a party. You know, if you were sitting with 2 or 3 friends and then you heard about a party, you guys were, whoever's most sober is getting behind the wheel and we're going to the party. But yeah, no, I was definitely not the kid that was getting invited to all kinds of parties. I had the audacity to show up at them. I was just like, no, I came with my fucking friend. He's invited. Fuck you. I know everybody here. No, dude, I never had like a pay party. We used to have like BYOB type of parties where you had to bring some beer, bring something to add to it. But most of the time it was just somebody was fronting the bill. Somebody's parents were out of town. They were throwing a rager. I could never get away with that shit because my parents were never out of town, so. We partied with my parents in smaller get-togethers. I'm liking this boomer hour. This is a fun stream tonight because I can relate. Yeah. I think about it more and more, you know. There's a lot of similarities between my generation and the current one, but there's a lot of differences, man. There are whole ass ways of life that have become just kind of like lore now, you know. And what's really interesting to me is that because I was a kid that naturally, I think I had a natural proclivity, and I always have, and I still do, towards like being a loner. You know, I think if left to my own devices, and if I'd have had like the internet, especially to kind of substitute for social interaction and stuff, I might have turned out a very different person. You know, go to a friend's weed party on the 29th. It's going to be me and probably a couple other friends. I'll be surprised if 10 people show up. Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm just talking about that's what I'm talking about, the scale of partying when I was talking about like how parties are different now, because we could straight up get away with more. Like, you know, like maybe not when it comes now, maybe not now because weed is so ubiquitous now. It's definitely easier for kids to get their hands on weed now than probably ever. But you know, like when it comes to like us being out and drinking and fucking doing illicit shit and in public and stuff, there was like a whole kind of like turn everybody kind of turned a blind eye to it. It was kind of seen as part of, you know, like part of what kids do, what kids are up to. Any plans for 420 tomorrow? Not really, man. Nothing to speak of. It's not really a holiday for me. It's like every day for me. I don't like going to the strip club. You and me both. I am no fan of the strip club. No hate to people that enjoy it or work at them, but it is just not my environment, man. I never liked the transactional nature of the strip club, and I never liked the whole like vibe in them, you know what I mean? Like, I've said this before. I think I'm a person that's a very sensitive to the psychosphere. You know, when there's a vibe, I'm tuned in. Like, I'm usually the first person to know if something's wrong. You know, somebody's off, somebody's fucking having a hard day or whatever. I'm an empath, and so when you get together with groups and there's a vibe, I'm usually pretty tuned into it. And the vibe that I tune into at strip clubs is just not. It's not like a social vibe, man. It's not a fun vibe. You can't think about it while you're there. Well, see, I can't not think about it no matter where I'm at. So, oh, you ever dabble in nightclubs? Seems like a young, sexy people scene. Yeah, I dabbled. I never really got into it in a big way, but yeah, I went to a few nightclubs in my 20s, and I'd go, you know, every once in a fucking blue moon, and I don't know, it's just a very expensive way to socialize. It's like $100 night, you know. And when you're in your 20s and working at Starbucks, that's a big fucking commitment. When I was 15, I used to like this song by POD called "Will You," and it reminds me of my first crush. Oh, look at you. Yeah, I don't really. I kind of have some songs that I associated with my high school crush or my high school crushes, such as they were. Very brief departures from the one chick I chased all through high school. But we never, like, I never really had, like, that's our song, you know, with any of my high school flings. My ex used to brainwash me with Lana Del Rey. Well, yeah, I don't know. kind of shit was too mushy for me. Oh, yeah. Don't start the ex-girlfriend talk, chat. Yeah, there's really not much to say. I'm definitely like a person that, you know, if I ever cared about a person, no matter how it ends up with that person, I'm not the kind of person that you're gonna catch shit talking that person to somebody else. I just don't do it. I don't got the will for that, man. Yeah, sky's pretty today. I agree. Oh. Lottie Dottie. Lottie Dottie. Lottie. Lottie. You know what the beat is. Lottie Dottie. We likes to party. We don't cause trouble. We don't bother nobody. We're just some men that's on the mic. And when we rock up on the mic, we rock the mic, right? What happened that changed your mind about how we should just nuke ourselves and end it? The whole bring on the nukes position was always to try and draw attention to the fucking screaming ecological disasters that are at our doorstep and the absolute lack of any kind of willpower politically to get anything done about it. The whole idea was, if we're gonna fucking burn the world out into a cinder, why prolong our fucking misery? Let's just bring on the nukes. There was never actual advocacy. I would not push the button if it was in front of me. It was a joke. It was a metaphor. It was meant to make people think about, like, oh yeah, well, if we are just going to cook the earth over the next 40 years, why not just, you know? It was a meant to inspire thought. It wasn't a political position. Oh, dude, I think that there's a real high likelihood of some kind of nuclear incident or nuclear exchange. I don't know how big it'll be. But the way that people are just ramping up this fucking shit from both sides and the saber rattling and shit, it's just got to come to a head. I've been saying it forever, dude. These nuclear weapons weren't created to not be used. No weapon is created with the intent of not using it. Like, weapons are used. That's their function. And to think that our landscape is dotted with fucking world destroyers, and so is the Russian landscape, and that those weapons are just gonna lay in those little concrete tubes, you should be. I mean, we should all be, like, any time the United States finds itself at odds with another nuclear superpower, militarily speaking, like, you know, it's a major reason why I have opposed wars in the past, because a lot of the wars that America has engaged in are geopolitical wars, aligning themselves and arming a faction and engaging in fucking direct warfare at sometimes with a faction that is supported by one of these other nuclear powers. You know, it's one of the reasons I don't want to see the world fucking burnt to a cinder. I don't want to see anybody die unnecessarily that doesn't have to die. And that is a staunch and easy to understand anti-war position. that is completely and utterly just doesn't even sell amongst the left anymore. It just disappeared. Principled anti-war protesters have just disappeared from the world. As a movement, it fucking sputtered and died, man. As a political position, it just sputtered and died. Because think about it, dude. There's been over 2 decades now and counting of war. Endless grinding fucking war. I'm the last generation that was born that remembers any time that could be called peacetime in America. And even those times were riddled with military conflicts and interventions. Doesn't exist anymore. The very concept of a nation not being at war has been completely and utterly taken out of our fucking lexicon as leftists. We ceded the position that forever war is just happening. And now, if you try and take that position, you're looked at as anachronistic. You're even accused of supporting one side of the war. If you look at something like the war in Ukraine, and you say, I think that war should end. I think there should be an immediate détente. I don't think a single person should fire another bullet at another person. I think that the only humane answer is not more fucking arms, not more escalation of the conflict, but an immediate détente, an immediate ceasefire, and an immediate negotiation, and do whatever it takes to save people. Because otherwise, you know, the numbers that are coming out of Ukraine of people that have been killed, the numbers that are coming out of Russia of people that have been killed in this conflict, you think that's going to go down as this war grinds on for a possible fucking 5-10 years? Everyone needs to stop. Russia needs to stop its fucking violent incursion. America needs to stop arming the other side and posturing like it's going to send fucking troops in. Everyone needs to stop. Everyone involved needs to stop. There needs to be a prioritization of human life and human suffering here that just doesn't exist. And that position is seen as fucking cringe now because, look, dude, a lot of people that are fucking calling that position cringe have never lived a fucking moment in their life where the United States wasn't at war. So, what else do they know? Why would you even advocate for such a fantastic position as our country not being involved in any kind of fucking military conflict? Having an extended period, a protracted period of peace? Why would you even advocate for some shit like that, man? That's just fucking fantasy thinking, right? Oh, sorry. I guess I'm a fantasist. Call me a fantasist. Oh yeah, well that's part of the problem. The geographic arm's length distance in which people see warfare now. And see, it used to be different. It didn't really matter that Vietnam was happening half a world away, you know. People were dying, not just American soldiers, but Vietnamese people. And it was being documented in the most brutal and fucking explicit way possible. And the American people just couldn't stomach it. It didn't matter that it was fucking, like I said, halfway around the world. The degradation of it. And it just has gotten to the point where we're not even moved by that anymore. We're not even moved by that scenes of that anymore. That's not even the... We've become numb to it, desensitized to it, and overall accepting of the premise that that's the best we can do and that's all we can do. that's that. When we're gonna get the old Ambrose Burnside, dude, I'm actually thinking about cutting off this hair, and maybe even doing something with the beard too. Not cutting off the whole beard, but maybe Burnsiding it up. I've been getting more and more intolerant of the bullshit that comes with having long hair, and I'm starting to question my thought process in keeping it any longer. So I'm thinking about maybe changing up the look here pretty soon. I guess we'll see. Yeah, I've always, like, contrary to what people may believe, other than this beard, I think this beard has probably been the most consistent look that I've kept. But like when it comes to my hair, I've always done something different. I've gone from being bald to having like shaggy, medium length hair to, having real close cropped hair to having like a fancy haircut to, you know, I've always done different stuff with my hair, so I've been thinking about it lately. I've been thinking about just sucking it up on one of my days off, heading to a barber shop. Amelia's not adverse to it.
So what?
To me getting rid of the hair if I'm sick of it.
If you had to, I'd be a little sad, but
Oh shit, here we go.
just a little. It'd take me a minute to get used to, that's all.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it would take me a minute to get used to. What if I didn't cut it like super short, but I cut like half of it off?
Yeah.
And just got like shorter. I'd like to take this off.
Yeah.
I liked my hair better when it was like medium length. Maybe I can get some layers put in it or something so that it looks nicer. Because, man, dude, I just feel like it's just like...
Yeah, just cut it, or like, just leave it a little tousled or something.
Yeah, I'm not going to like shave my head bald. I don't want to do that again. It was shocking the last time I did that shit. I don't want to shock the system again, but...
Like, at least leave that.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I had to do something. Spike it.
But yeah, as long as you don't go completely bald, like shaving your head, then...
I don't want to do that. I've been down that road before, and I've regretted it every time I've done it. Hair Patreon tier, yeah. If you join the $20,000 tier, it's only one spot, and you get a Paul hair doll. I'll shave my head and my beard completely off, and I'll make a giant doll out of it.
Or you could just do the hair you cut off and, like, have someone put it into your existing Paul plushie.
That's true. I could give him real hair. Have him just, like, make a weave out of my hair and put it on the Paul plushie. That actually is a good idea. That would be creepy. No, it isn't. I don't know what I was thinking. I corrected myself real quick. I actually had frosted tips before. I had bleached hair that grew out. So frosted tips, as I understand it, is like something you go in and you just get the tips of your hair fucking done. I never did that. But I would bleach my whole hair. That was very popular when I was a teenager. Bleach my whole head, and then it would grow out and you get roots. You get another haircut, and now you've got frosted tips.
Roots.
Root.
I know what just the way you said it.
Oh. How do you say it?
Roots.
Roots.
I've just never heard you say it before.
Roots. Roots. I don't know, dude. That's how I've always said it. Roots.
I guess they don't come up in conversation very much.
They don't. I've said roots too. Like when I talk about like the mini series about slavery, I say roots. I don't say roots. But when I'm talking about like actual roots of something, I guess I say roots. Oh, it's country. TJ says rum instead of room, and Paul says ruts instead of roots. Written around like a swine. Yeah. Yeah, root beer. A tree has roots. It does, man. I should call my mom right now and have her like, what is it? What is it? What grows in the ground on a tree, Mom? She'd say roots.
You can't Californianize every word.
Mm-mm. Not your dad's root beer. I love it. Oh, cricket. You're so cute. Big yawn.
You always have to acknowledge a cat yawn. It's against the law not to.
Yeah, it's true. They're too vicious looking, man, with all them fingers out. Only in California, dude, man, bro, gender neutral. I don't know if it's like, I guess that maybe that's true, but that it has always been that way. My sisters call me bro, they call each other bro. Not all the time, but it's like a term of endearment. It just means hey person. It's like dude is not, it can be contextually, like you can say, you know,
That dude, I think.
yeah, well, yeah, that dude, or you could be like, oh, you know, no, Kelsey's a dude. But it has to be gendered. It has to be like contextually gendered. If it's used in like a colloquial way or whatever, it is never intended to be a gendering thing. At least how I was raised. And it's always been that way since I was a kid. And, you know, if somebody tells me, hey, it bothers me that you fucking say this, I will do my level-headed best not to do it. But I don't fucking, you know, mask my intentions either. Oh.
Don't you say is the one you hate the most? Like if someone's like, hey, blank. How do you feel about sir?
Sir?
Yeah.
I guess I'm okay with sir. Like I'll say that if I'm trying to get somebody's attention and I don't know them or whatever. It's not meant, you know, I don't think that's disrespectful. I'm okay with sir. Like hey you, I guess is kind of like aggressive as fuck.
Yeah. What about Mister?
Mister. I guess it's okay. Hey, Mister.
Yeah, you just think of a child.
Yeah. Kinda, yeah. My guy. Yeah, I don't like that. Hey, my guy. I'm not your guy, alright? You can say, hey, guy. I don't really like that one, man. What, you don't know dude? Yo, fam. Don't like it. Because I'm not your fam, man. That one doesn't make any sense to me. I guess it does in the context of like calling everybody bro.
Mhm.
You're not really my brother, but that one just that one hits different.
Yeah. Rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah. You think you could throw me a little water in that?
Yeah.
Thank you, baby. I'm thirsting. Broski. Yeah, I don't really like modifications of it. Like, I don't like Deuterino, or any like Buddy. I like Buddy. I'm fine with Buddy. Oh, thank you, honey bear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got used to the honey thing in the South.
Hun. Sweetheart. Yeah, they'll call you all kinds of terms of endearment and shit.
Yeah.
And it's gender neutral as well.
Yeah.
Like, especially women in the South are very, but like men will do it too. Men won't call other men hun, though.
Yeah.
Women call, like, talk to everybody the same way down in South. And the men will call women hun.
Or doll.
Doll, sweetie,
Yeah.
precious.
So if you don't like that shit, don't go down south.
Yeah, you may as well just leave your offense at the door because you're gonna get it everywhere you fucking go. So you may stay out or modify your expectations for the region you're in, because it's kind of how I feel about the California shit too. Because it's like if you ask me personally, like, hey man, where I'm from, that's not. It means I kind of feel misgendered or whatever the fuck when you do that. I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, that's not my intent. I'm probably going to be good at it, but if you're in fucking California, you're going to hear it every other fucking second of the day anyway. I'm hardly going to be the last person that does it to you, so. Oh man, it'll get like straight up. I had there was a lady that worked at the Taco Bell by TJ's house when I used to go over there to the studio. And when I'd stop over there, every time she called me baby doll. Thank you so much, baby doll. My mom doesn't even call me baby doll. Jesus Christ. Sugar. Daddy-o. See, I like that one.
Yeah.
That's kind of like real old, though. Nobody calls anybody Daddy-o anymore. I personally hate political correctness. What about, like, why? It seems like a pretty blanket statement, and there's a lot of things that fall under what's, like, considered to be, like, politically correct. Like, do you think it's bad if you're in a room with somebody that you know has suffered, like, sexual assault to be all make boisterous, like, rape jokes? Or do you think that it's politically correct for you to maybe, like, temper those fucking instincts and not, have a little sensitivity or whatever the fuck, somebody somebody that you can possibly know that about, you know what I mean? Do you think that that's a bad thing? Do you think that instinct is a bad thing? Like, I'm sure that there are some aspects of what other people consider to be politically correct that I would disagree with. We're talking about one of them now. Mm-hmm. The idea of dude being some kind of gendered term in every instance, and I just think that fucking language is way more versatile than that. I happen to know it is because I grew up calling, people dude regardless of gender, and it's never been a problem. So I know that the word functions in that way, and that's the intent. But, there are certain aspects of political correctness I think are good, I honestly think that, like, you should be able to take, like, I don't really like the term politically correct, I guess. I guess it's descriptive, but I think it's more like just take the fucking temperature, man. Mm-hmm. Like, know who you're, like, be sensitive that there are people that didn't have your fucking experience growing up. And maybe fucking chill out a little bit, you know? Like, I'm fine with that.
It's like we had to attitude adjust and language police ourselves in all kinds of situations.
It's part of, like, if people spoke their minds 24/7, 365, nobody'd have a friend. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's common human courtesy, and it's part of socializing. Part of socializing is that delicate dance where it's just like, you really don't have any interests that fucking align with mine, but we live in the same area, and there's no reason we should be anything but cordial to one another, so let's do that. That's basically what it's rooted in. It's like, you know, if you fucking croaked tomorrow, I'd probably be better off for it because there's less people competing for the resources over here, but... Ugh, fucking hair. Get out. Why don't you get back here? There we go. That might help a little bit. Just keeps blowing in my face. It's all ratty and shitty.
Why you got this giant leaf on you?
It's a straw. He's a farmer. What?
What do you want? You want to go back in? Okay. Is it a little chilly for your taste?
Jeez, T.
A little chilly for your taste.
He's gonna want to be right back out.
I knew it.
Wait, you're not coming in too? Oh no. Ever went dancing? I mean, yeah, I told you, like, my real early 20s, when I first moved to Arizona, I used to go clubbing every once in a while. And it's not like you go, I didn't think of it as like going dancing, but that was part of it. You'd go out on the dance floor or whatever and do the awkward shuffle. It was part of the thing. I don't know. It's what you did at a club. There was this place called Pompeii. I don't even think it's open anymore. It was the coolest club I ever went to. It was really neat. It's like 3-tiered club in Phoenix, Arizona. That was made. It was made like a volcano. So the dance floor was on the first floor, and it was all this this grated material, and steam would shoot out of it and light. And then it had like these conical tiers where the second tier was a big bar tier and the top tier was like a lounge and observation deck. The music was bumping everywhere. The DJ was halfway up, you know, kind of floating out over the whole thing. It was a really neat club. I don't know if it's still open down there, but that's the place that I went to several times in a brief era of my life that I remember enjoying. You have a preferred mixed drink? Yeah. I have two. If I want just like one that I could sip over and over again, if I'm thinking about like, hey, I want to have a mixed drink that I'm going to have all night, I like a White Russian. And if I'm looking to just have a couple of like little fruity drinks or whatever, a Midori Sour. Midori Sour is actually probably my favorite.
What's that?
It's like a melon liqueur. It sounds really weird. It's melon, lime, lime and lemon juice, or one or the other. And I can't remember what else. And it's made with vodka.
Mm. Which is weird because you don't like vodka straight.
No, vodka. It makes the best mixed drinks in my opinion. Yeah. I love it. I love it in I like tequila and vodka. Tequila is the one I like. The only real liquor I like straight. Mm-hmm. And I don't even really like it, to be honest with you. I must not like it much because I don't ever drink it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't seen you take a shot at tequila since.
Yeah. But Midori sours are just real sweet, and they're real refreshing and easy to drink. Just feels like a cup of fruit juice and sparkling water or whatever.
Yeah. Probably think I'm weird with my whiskey sours.
No. No, I can see. I've had them before, and like I just cannot get over the taste of whiskey.
But the problem I have is when they put like they have a hard time balancing the sour. Sometimes it's hard to get a good one.
Yeah.
There was that one place we went to in Pismo that put way too much whiskey.
Oh yeah.
So bad.
Way too much whiskey and way too little sour.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like a rum and Coke too. It's just like a really easy thing to sit and sip. So I'll do a rum and Coke too. 30 mils Midori, 30 mils vodka, 16 mils lemon juice, 15 mils lime, top soda. Yeah. Now they're really good when they're made properly. It tastes like a fresh lemonade with a little bit of that like honeydew melon flavor to it. Was the drink the girl I lost my virginity to brought over to my house. She was a bartender. She came over to my house and had like a whole jug of Midori that she'd made up.
Yeah.
Like one of those fucking plastic shit. And we just started sipping that. Sorry, babe. If you can reach it, get it. If you can't, don't worry about it. Thank you. Midori.
I will say this though, martinis are overrated.
Yeah, martini. I'm not a martini drinker. It's just too. I don't like gin. Aren't martinis gin? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like gin at all. But I had real bad experience with gin.
Yeah.
My roommate one time. Well, it's Rodney. You guys have all met Rodney, at least those of you that have watched the whole, the journey or whatever. Rodney would torture me to make me drink so that we could get fucked up and make music. And we were poor, and so we only had whatever he could get his fucking hands on. Remember one time he had gin, and we had nothing to mix it with. We couldn't afford soda and shit. And so he made Kool-Aid and mixed it with gin. And he named it the Fresh Off the Ferry Filipino. And it was the most disgusting thing I've ever drank in my life. And I had the worst fucking shit. I had the worst fucking hangover ever. And it was a very aggressive drunk too. Yeah, it's just bad news. I'm a fan of like drinks that aren't like. I like sweet. I prefer a drink to be sweet in some way, either like chocolatey sweet. In the case of like because that's kind of what like a White Russian reminds me of, like white chocolate or some shit. It's got a very smooth, creamy taste to it.
Yeah, it's like
very
the coffee was
sweet.
cut with the cream.
Yeah, it's like coffee with cream and Irish cream in it or whatever the fuck.
It's hard to get though. A lot of bars don't stock milk.
True. And it's not even really supposed to be made with milk. It's supposed to be made with half and half.
Yeah.
And so if you really get a good fucking White Russian, it should be made with half and half. Not even like milk. And a lot of bars will have like 2% milk or something. You just get a watery fucking White Russian. But I like I tend to like margaritas and like like mixed drinks with what you call it? Tequila, thank you. Brain fart. I'm trying to think. You ever had any of the like joke shots?
I did once.
Which one did you have?
I don't remember what it was called, but it tasted like an Egg McMuffin.
Oh God, what did they give you?
It was like two things. It was like a little thing of OJ, and then it was like.
Oh, you did a
shot.
cement mixer?
Yeah.
Because like did it coagulate in your mouth when you?
Not really.
Okay, then no. I'm thinking of something else. Dude, a cement mixer is the worst fucking thing.
But yeah, it was like.
It tastes like an Egg McMuffin.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily bad though.
No.
It was good. It was like buttery or what? Like,
Yeah, I don't remember what it
had
was.
like bacon in it or whatever.
No, it didn't have bacon in it. It was just like an OJ shot and like a shot of something else that I can't remember what it was called.
Damn. I wish you could remember what the fuck that was. That sounds great.
What?
I just remembered that you got grenadine, so I can make a Roy Rogers.
Yeah.
Dude, we were when we were up in Washington on vacation. We ordered from this place. We were just ordered in one night, and we got Amelia ordered a Roy Rogers. She didn't tell me, and when our food got there, you know, we were asking each other, "Oh, how's yours?" And she was like, "Oh, this Roy Rogers is really good." And I was like, "Roy Rogers?" Dude, it took me immediately. Just the thought of it took me immediately. It put me in a little tuxedo looking, like a little like toddler suit at the fucking Elks Lodge when my parents would have like the fancy schmancy union dinner. And they had an open bar, and the little kids could walk up and they could get either a Shirley Temple or a Roy Rogers. And I was like, and as soon as like I tasted it, my eyes closed and I was fucking 6 years old again, standing there awkwardly in my little suit. Dude, I hadn't had one of those fucking things since I was probably like 6, 7, 8 years old. No, a screwdriver. She's not talking about a screwdriver.
Yeah, I found it. It's an Irish breakfast shot.
Irish breakfast.
So it sometimes comes with bacon, but it's butterscotch liqueur.
Oh, okay.
That's why you get the kind of
Buttery flavor, yeah, a syrupy thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Yeah, there's one called a cement mixer where they put some kind of fucking shot together that when you mix it in your mouth, the cream in it coagulates and turns into cement. And people usually like sputter on it or whatever, or really grossed out by it. And then I remember there was one called a brain hemorrhage, where they would put something in, I can't even remember what it was made with. I know it was made with they would take this little thing, dip it in grenadine, and then stick it in the middle, and it would make it look like this ball of liquor in the middle had like a red tail coming out of it, like it was having a hemorrhage or whatever.
Alright. Brain hemorrhage shot.
Yeah.
It's peach schnapps, Irish clean liqueur, and grenadine.
Okay, look up another one for me, because this is another one that used to get ordered in rounds. It's called an adios motherfucker. Because that, I've drank a lot of adios motherfuckers, but I couldn't tell you what's in one.
The blue one?
Yes.
Vodka, rum, tequila, gin, blue curacao, simple syrup, lemon juice, and lemon lime soda.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Adios.
So it's like Long Island iced tea,
yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
but blue.
Yeah. You get oh yeah, I've had a lot of Long Islands as well. That's like, if you want my advice, if you're gonna bar hop or club hop or whatever, and you want to get the most bang for your buck, you get a fucking Long Island iced tea. That's the best way to go, man. I'm just letting you know.
Pace yourself.
But pace yourself, because there's a lot of water in that, so it hydrates you while it's dehydrating you. I'm telling you, it's the way to go. You'll thank me later.
If you sip it like it's an iced tea, you're gonna be fucked up.
Yeah. Do people even go to bars anymore? Is that even a thing?
I'd assume so.
Is it just old people, though, that used to go to bars that are still going? Or do, like, young people go out to bars now?
I mean, when I went out to bars, it seemed like there was a decent mix of people.
Yeah? There are people your age when you went?
Sometimes. I don't know. It was some shithole town in Indiana.
I guess college and shit, huh?
Yeah.
Like college-aged kids. See, I forget that whole college experience shit happens, and that's probably got there's probably a lot of fucking bar culture going on there, I'd imagine. Yeah. I was never big into bars, man. I always felt like every night that somebody was like, let's go to the bar, I would always go into it thinking like, all right, that sounds like fun, and then it would always be a debacle. Like, some shit would happen every goddamn time we'd go to a bar. Somebody would get too drunk and puke, and we'd have to fucking take them home. Or somebody would get in a fight. Or there was, like, an argument would happen. Or there'd be somebody weird at the bar that wouldn't leave us alone. Or, you know what I mean? Just, like, every fucking time. I always remember, like, man, we should just not go to bars anymore. But maybe that was more to do with me and the people I was hanging out with than it was the bar. Yeah, there's a fight. Someone gets fucking all weepy or something, and they're like, oh man, that used to happen all the time. Because I used to go, like, bar hopping with a mixed group, gender-wise. And so dudes and chicks, and, like, we would, like, not to stereotype, but I swear to God, every time one of the girls would, like, I would fucking look over, and one of the girls would have their arm draped around another one of the girls, and there would be mascara running, and everybody would be making their way over there, and it would be some stupid shit like, oh, they played me and my ex's song, or I saw my ex or whatever, and he was with somebody else, and I was just like, man, why the fuck do we even come out to these? So there was always, like, this pause where everybody had to go pay deference to whoever, and it wasn't always, I'll tell you this, it was usually one of the girls, but it wasn't always. Sometimes it would be one of the dudes that would get into his feelings, and everybody was having to fucking go and bro talk him.
Was it a debacle with the bill, too?
No, everybody opened their own tab at the fucking bar when we went, and you could buy other people drinks on your tab, and we would try and, you know, fucking spread that around, but we were never like, you know, we knew better than to let fucking money come into it, because that'll just end the friendship right there. So everybody paid their own way.
Yeah, I could never be a bartender because I couldn't remember people's tabs like that.
Yeah, it's a job that requires a whole lot of fucking skill, and most people don't realize how much, because it's not just making the drinks, remembering the tabs, remembering the recipes for the drinks, remembering the face of the person and associating it with the tab. It's all of the interpersonal skill that comes with it, because when they're not, like, slammed out, people want to talk to the bartender, and that's part of your job. Like, bartenders were, like, the earliest form of therapists, like talk therapists. They were the first people that were in this kind of situation where you were going there to get drunk. Drunk means vulnerable, and it's a person that's not there to judge you. They're serving you the fucking poison. You know what I mean? And so people feel like they can talk to them. And usually a bartender talks start with, I bet you run into a lot of people going through divorce, huh? You know? People always want to be like, oh yeah, you know what I'm about to talk to you about, right? Yeah, dude, my old lady left me, or whatever. And you got to be able to fucking, like, give genuine empathy to those people. That's part of what they're there for, man. And then there are the people that are there for, like, fake flirting, like fake intimacy. Like, whether you're a male bartender or a female bartender, you're gonna get people that come in that are just lonely as fuck, and nobody else will talk to them, and you're the one, you know. And you got to know how to walk that line of, like, keeping it friendly and light and pithy without taking it too far and letting them get in their mind something's going on that isn't, you know.
And then, like you said, the fights and shit. You
Yeah.
gotta figure out how to deal with all that, too.
Yeah, you gotta, I mean, that's usually not the bartender that's breaking up fights.
But they gotta be able to make the call of, like, when to call someone.
Oh yeah, when to, like, hey, you're fucking done, man. So they're watching.
Yeah.
Like, as they're listening to everybody, making all the drinks, remembering all the tabs, remembering all the recipes, they're watching every patron in that bar and keeping tabs on how many drinks go over that table. How many times does this motherfucker come up here and ordered a round? You know, and when it gets to a level and you watch their fucking behavior, you got to know when to 86. So you're right, and there's more to it than that, man. You just got to be on the lookout. Like, yeah, there's security people in the bar, but You got to be on the lookout for weapons and drugs and drug deals and prostitution and shit, because any type of that shit happens in your joint on your watch, you can get shut down.
Carded people.
Yeah. Yeah, underage, you got to know how to fucking. I mean, nowadays, I think it's a lot easier now that you can, scan the thing and get. But yeah, back in the day, you had to know how to fucking spot a fakie and how to cut somebody off and all that, all that shit. You got to be a little bit of everything to do a bartender. I can just imagine how many bar hoppers drove home wasted. I mean, that's the thing too, is you got to be on the lookout for that, because depending on the state that you're in and whatever, like, you can be held liable if somebody stumbles out of your fucking business ass drunk and there was no facility for them to call a cab for themselves and nobody tried to fucking watch out for them and shit. It's not necessarily that you're going to be found liable, but bars have been found liable for letting people bumble out drunk.
Knowing that they drove up.
Right, knowing that, right. Watching them fucking fumble with their keys at the door and you know what I mean? You gotta fucking stop shit like that. You gotta at least make the, facilitate that type of shit. And, that's because you're the one that fucking gave them the shit that they're about to go kill a whole family of 5 on. You know what I mean? And whether or not you think, I personally don't think that the person that proffered it is to blame for that, but nonetheless, you can't argue that it would have happened without them. You know what I mean? Somebody would have proffered it, and if you're gonna do that, you got to make some kind of, like, if somebody's gonna be drinking on your premises, you got to make some kind of fucking arrangements to get people home safe. And most bars do, because they don't want to fucking deal with it. And who can blame them?
And you don't want the reputation of, like, this is where all the drunk drivers go.
No. Dude, you know what was crazy? That fucking first Ohio meetup we did.
Oh, yeah?
I have never seen a bar so slammed out with people that were so fucking wibble-wobble drunk.
Oh, yeah?
Dude, by the time, because, like, it started off okay, it was just packed. Like, I think that place was actually blown away by how many fucking people were there. They didn't want to turn it down because they were just selling. We tried to warn them, too. We were just like, look, this place is not huge, and we think a lot of people are going to come to this. It was packed, man.
Did you sell tickets, or did you just free-for-all it?
Dude, I gotta be honest with you. I wasn't really involved in the business end, so I cannot fucking remember. Like, when on DP and shit, I didn't really handle any of that shit. Like, I wasn't brought into them conversations or whatever. So I know that there were tickets sold for some of them, and then there were. I remember we sold tickets to, like, the Seattle meetup. But I can't remember back that far. I think it might have just been in 21 and up. First come, first serve, kind of just meet and greet event. And I think way more people showed up than they thought. And dude, by the time the fucking sun started going down, I've told this story before. I don't know if I've told you. So I'd just gotten TJ and Scotty into an Uber and sent them home. They were fucking, like, both of them were wobbling, flobbling.
Like, New Orleans bad, or?
No.
No.
No, but they were both getting there.
Yeah.
You know, New Orleans was the fucking cream of the crop. That was the worst. Not and you know what the funny thing is, nothing happened. That's the crazy thing about it. But no, fucking I just gotten them because they were both just exhausted and drunk, and we'd been there all fucking. I was thinking about leaving too. I just felt a responsibility to get them fucking, because I wasn't as drunk as everybody was there. And I went across the street to this pizza joint to grab a bite to eat and get something on my stomach. and take a leak. I went into the bathroom, right? And one of the, like, a fan was coming out. And a fan said something like, "Oh, hey, Paul." And I was like, "What's up, dude?" And so I went to the urinal. I could see somebody was in the stall. And all of a sudden, I'm pissing, and somebody goes, "Pausigo?" And I was like, "Yeah, buddy." He's like, "Oh, help me, Pausigo." And I thought for a second, I was like, "Who is this messing with me, man?" And I was like, "You okay, buddy?" He's like, "I can't stand up, Pausigo. Please, Pausigo, please help me." And I was like, "Okay, buddy, you're fine. Did you do a little drinking tonight?" "Yeah, I drank too much, Pausigo. I threw up, Pausigo, and I can't walk." And I was like, "It's okay, man. It happens. Like, you just chill there for a minute, and I'll get you some help, okay?" He said, "Thank you, Pausigo." So I went to the manager, or the counter of the pizza joint, and I was like, "Hey, there's a drunk guy from the bar across the street, and he's in your bathroom, and I think he's having a hard time. He might need a ride home." And they were like, "Oh, it happens all the time. Thanks for letting us know." So I sat down, I had my pizza, and they were actually real nice to the guy. They had one of the bus boys come over and help him out to the car, and they put him in a taxi, and I made sure he got off on his way, and then I paid them for his cab. I gave him my credit card, and I said, "Just put the taxi bill or whatever on that." And they were thankful of that. And but I could have done that with 100 fucking people that night. It was just I eventually had to just admit to myself, because it was starting to get real sporadic. Like, people were like, when I came out of the pizza shop after that happened, people were like, "Paul, come on, man," and they're motioning me down an alley. And my dumb ass went. I was like, "Okay." And all they wanted to do was smoke a bowl with me or whatever. But we're in an alley behind a bar, all drunk and wobbly. And so I passed it around a couple of times with those folks, and I was like, "I gotta go, guys. I'm out of here." And I just called an Uber and went.
Chaos bomb.
Yeah.
That bar, they made bank that night, but at what cost?
Oh, dude, I remember the guys saying that they bugged us to come back all the time.
Yeah.
That we slammed them out. They were selling fucking. They loved us. It was a cool little bar too, just big old arcade basically.
I think the problem with the New Orleans one was the open bar for the first hour.
Yeah.
Had there not been an open bar, I feel like that meetup would have gone a little better.
Which one?
The New Orleans one.
Oh yeah. Well, the bar wasn't open at the New Orleans one. That's the thing. It was I don't know how that one got so. Because here's the thing, dude. That New Orleans meetup was ill-conceived from the jump. Here's what happened, and I don't think anybody made any. Well, there was probably some mistakes made in the booking of it. The guys wanted something down in the quarter, like they wanted to have this iconic meetup that was down in the French Quarter, so that we could do a meetup and then we could all go out into the French Quarter and get drunk with all our fans and shit. That was the plan. The place that they booked, you could tell that they were like an upscale place. They were set up for like a formal party or some shit. Like, no joke. And this army of fucking reeking gorilla neckbeards just fucking descended on the place. There was a dude, I'll never forget this fucking kid. He was one of the, some people managed to finesse their way into the event. So we were supposed to go in and be able to just fucking acquaint ourselves with what was going on and where we could set up our own little seating area and shit. And when we went up there were already kids that had finessed their way in. And one of them, there was probably 6 kids that had gotten in. And I say kids, they were, whatever, fucking young, probably 19, 20-year-olds. Or maybe 21, I don't know. They were youngsters. And one of them had this fucking, it was a big old ounce of pot in the middle of this fucking fancy-ass place. and he's just got it out on the table, and he's just fucking unabashedly rolling a joint like he's in private.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking over to that dude, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?" He's like, "Oh, I'm at the, it's like, oh, I'm at the DP meetup, man. You know what?" I was like, "Yeah, but you fucking, dude, this place ain't about, dude, where you know where you are? You're in fucking New Orleans. Mm-mm. Oh, don't worry about it, Paul. It's fucking, I'm gonna worry about it." So anyway, the thing I remember most about that place was they had these historic balconies,
Mm-hmm.
and they said on the door, "Limit 10 people maximum at all times."
Oh, so this isn't the same New Orleans meetup I'm thinking of.
Which New Orleans meetup?
The one I went to. The DFF.
Oh, the second one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I was a child.
Yeah. I didn't realize that you would put yourself in the story, so I was thinking of the other New Orleans meetup. Sorry. What was the thing about that?
Oh, how drunk TJ got because there was an open bar. For
Oh
the first
yeah.
hour.
Okay. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I'd forgotten about that one. I was going through them chronologically in my head. But
anyways, the balconies at the
yeah.
previous one.
Well, there were balconies that said 10 people only on the balcony, and when I went out there to fucking cop a smoke, there were at least 30 fat neckbeards on there. 30 of them dangling off every little inch of this shit. It was nuts. And then it just got worse, man. I don't know how nobody. I don't know how we got through it, man. I saw the most amazing thing that night that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was chaos, man. The venue had had enough,
mm-hmm.
and they basically come to us and like, we're shutting it down, and we're like, fuck. And so we're all kicked out into the street, and there's an army. There's like now 250, 300 neckbeards at least, standing out and around this place in the quarter. And Scotty left his cell phone, and so he ran up. He's like, "Oh fuck, I left my cell phone," and it was so weird. TJ was just like, as soon as Scotty left, he's like, "Man, fuck Scotty, I'm going. We're going to a strip club." And so he just starts marching, and like half the people were like, "I'm gonna wait for Scotty though," and the other half were just like, "I'm going with TJ though." And I got swept up in the TJ crowd. And so before I knew it, we're walking down, and TJ's taking us like, "Oh, I know my way around this here. No, y'all know my way around this here right here. You think I'm not gonna get you down?" You know, he's in full fucking I'm drunk as fuck Louisiana native mode, right? But he has no fucking clue where he's going. And he's leading everybody around, and there's this one dude that is so drunk, and he's walking by people, and he's like saying shit to people's girlfriends, and it's only because he's in this huge crew of big bearded fucking sweaty BO reeking dudes that he's not getting his ass beat. But he was barely conscious. He was knocking over trash cans and shit. So here's where the amazing part comes in. TJ finally decides, like, all right, well, while we're looking for this strip joint that we have to go to, he's hungry. And we find this place that's just like, it's a pizza joint, but it's like pizza by the slice. And he's like, "We're gonna eat here." And so he goes in there, and it's one of those places where you can only pay in cash, but they have their own ATM. That's the scam. They probably have a fucking $5 fee on the ATM or whatever. And I watched that dude fucking like wobble. He was not even barely able to stand over to that ATM. And I watched him fucking get his wallet out. I shit you not, it was the most epic thing I ever saw in my life. I was like, there's no way he's getting that thing to spend money. There's no way. He's too drunk. I watched him put the card in upside down the wrong way. And I shit you not, that motherfucker, as drunk as he was, oblivious to the world, was able to get like $180 out of his ATM account.
Probably shouldn't have taken out that much.
I don't know. Yeah, dude, it spit a bunch of 20s at him, and he fucking like wobbled and wibbled and folded it and like stuffed it in his pocket. I was like, you know what? Anything is possible in this world if you put your mind to it. You know, you could like at that point, I don't want to hear an excuse from any other human being ever. This motherfucker was able to get that money out. And I swear to God, I went back. I found TJ, and they were sitting out in the back of this little area. And when we were going back through the place to leave, that fucking dude was sitting there eating a piece of pizza and drinking a Coke. And I was like, you see, There are happy endings in this world, man. I thought that guy was going to spend the night in the drunk tank, and maybe he did, but not while he was in my eye shot. You know, I left him. He looked happy. He had a big fat piece of pizza and a Coke. He managed. It was shocking. But yeah, the second New Orleans meetup, that one got out of control because of the open bar. You're absolutely right. But that was part of it. That was part of the VIP package.
And
Was
the thing is, like, everyone got the VIP package too. Like, there was only like a straggling of people that actually came.
well, yeah, yeah, I know. So yeah, that ended up being crazy. Yeah, the vast majority of people ended up having VIP tickets to it. And so it ended up being just like a full hour of open bar. And that was ludicrous. People were wasted, but TJ most of all.
Because everyone was using their open bar to get him drunk.
Yeah. It was very insane.
And that was like the first time I met TJ too.
Yeah. It was the first time a lot of people met TJ. You weren't the only one. But yeah, no, he's a force of nature when he gets a certain amount of alcohol in him. You can only hope to contain it.
I remember, I think Terry gave him like a piece of jerky or something.
Dude, everybody was trying whatever they knew how to do. Dude, my favorite memory of that night will always be I walked in, and TJ was sitting there with Chelsea, and she was like soothing him, you know? And he was like, he saw me walking by, and he's like, Paul, I love you, man. I love you, Paul. And I was like, I love you too, TJ. It's going to be okay, man. You just drank a little much. He's like, no, man, I fucking love you, Paul. And I was like, I love you too, TJ. It's going to be okay. And I left. And then I remembered I had to go get something out of the room. And so I went back across. And this was like, I swear to God, less than a minute later. And I come back, and he goes, I fucking hate you, Paul. Why do you do this to me? I fucking hate you. And I was like, Jesus Christ. I just had to get my bag, man. Oh, man. Yeah, dude. He was an emotional roller coaster. He was a whirlwind that night.
There was no train to the strip club that night.
No. I remember TJ said that he woke up like 6 hours later, still stone drunk.
Yeah.
Like he said he woke up, he went to bed, he passed out, and he woke up 6 hours later and went to the bathroom, and he was still just did TJ dirty. Yeah, I must have, dude. I left the room and then came back. But yeah, I remember telling everybody, I was like, look, I don't know that if I'm the best dude to help, I don't have the best back in the world, and I don't even really know how to finagle TJ out of this fucking place. And luckily, Galen was there that night, and he was in a wheelchair, and he was able to let TJ, like, they were able to load his ass up into that somehow.
The floor was all weird, too.
Yeah, well, they had that shit. It was like the backstage area we had to get him out of. And it was either go out the back way, which had a bunch of fucking crap they were storing. You had to go through a little maze. Or take him up the stairs and off onto the stage, which wasn't going to happen. And then I remember Taylor thugged some dude. You remember that?
Yeah.
Some dude was like out there with us, like when they wheeled TJ out. And he was like trying to take pictures of TJ on his phone. He took like snap a picture, and Taylor was like, motherfucker, give me your phone. Snatched it. She was like, delete that shit right now. Delete it. Delete the fucking, empty your fucking trash bin. Empty your deleted items folder now. Don't you fucking take pictures of him like that, motherfucker. I was like, whoa. This dude was flabbergasted.
Yeah, those places don't understand, too. They're, like, trying to get you to rebook with them. It's like, that's not how this works.
I tried to explain that to the dude, because I remember TJ, that this was another funny part of the night. this dude, like, after things kind of wound down a little bit and people were starting to go home, and we were, TJ was already fucking three sheets to the wind. And this dude wanted to talk business and shit.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to come back and talk to us. And TJ was intent. He was like, no, I'll do it, all right. And TJ was basically like going along with everything. The guy was like, we'd love to rebook you guys. And TJ's like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, man, let's do it. And I'm just like, I was trying to explain to the guy, I was like, it's just like, these people came from all over the United States to be here tonight. We can't ring that cash register. We don't have this many local fans. That it may appear that way to you, but there were people here from all over the United States, and a few people from out of the United States came to just do this. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be able to do it next month. You know what I mean? We're not going to be able to pull it anywhere near this amount of crowd on a monthly basis. I see. Yeah. Well, you got to understand. It's not a local crowd. Now, there's quite a few people, quite a few locals there, but not enough to fill that whole ass fucking place out like we did. But yeah, pretty much every place we've been to except for that fucking LA place has loved us and wanted us back. Well, that LA place and that fucking New Orleans place. Mm-hmm. We were lucky to get out of that place without some kind of fine for damages or some shit. Can't wait for another meetup. Yeah, it'd be fun to do. I just don't know. I don't know when that'll happen.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the country is just kind of giving up on COVID. They just got rid of the airline mask mandates.
Oh, yeah. People are just sick of caring about it, so. I guess we'll see what happens. LA place was kind of justified. They had to deal with some wannabe gunslinger. I mean, that's why they had fucking security there and shit. We didn't tell nobody to bring a gun. You know what I mean? And he didn't bring like an actual gun. He brought some kind of fucking airsoft pistol or some shit. It's dangerous as fuck, but still. Like,
Wasn't there a sword too?
A battle axe.
Oh, okay.
TJ had just started doing some Clash of Clans thing where he had some battle axe and he would chop his desk with it. Mm-hmm. And some kid brought a fucking battle axe and wanted TJ to sign it. And security was like, you're not bringing a fucking axe in here, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh boy.
Fucking TJ fans, man.
You're never going to a meetup, Banner.
No, unfortunately. I had this idea one time, and it sounded fun, but I got to thinking about it, and I was like, dude, I don't want to share that with everybody. I wanted to have like a barbecue thing, like a more intimate type of meetup where we only sold a certain amount of tickets, and you had to buy a ticket to find out where the fuck it was and shit, so that people wouldn't bring hella extra people and have like security at the door to no ticket, no entry type of thing, and make it just for like maybe 50, 60 people, 100 people max. And do like a cookout type of thing.
At the gazebo at the park or some shit.
Yeah, have my uncle bring his big old barbecue thing that he hauls in the back of his truck that, could cook like 10 racks of fucking ribs on it. And, just make a ton of burgers and hot dogs and ribs and have my mom, make up some good sides and stuff. And I thought that would be really cool. But then I was just like, dude, I can't trust somebody not to fucking say something stupid. Like, they're not going to understand that they're, like, my family, they're very nice people, but they're not me. You know what I mean? They're not
like
pranksters.
Would spill the beans at the meetup and people would show up.
Well, if people showed up, they wouldn't get in. That's the whole point, is to, like, make it pretty secretive where it's going down. And then also, like, you don't have a ticket, you don't come in, and I'm not even going to know you're there. You know what I mean? It's a private event, private venue. The best you can hope is to hang out there if they don't fucking get you for loitering or whatever and see us as we're leaving, But I don't think many people would bother doing that. But I thought it would be cool, but then I was just like, I don't know. I don't want there to be some fucking bullshit.
Mhm.
because
I think you guys have a pretty tried and true method with meetups, and you do one again, probably just following that same model.
yeah. Well, I don't know. It's all it's location, 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 like everything else. You got to find the right venue for it. Got to find the right venue at the right time in the right place that has the right mindset that you can explain like, hey, this is what this is going to be, and that's that. Anyway, I gotta go. My phone's gonna die. I'll see you later. Bye.